Hey everyone. Tonight I've got a story that's going to make you think twice before going into the woods alone. This happened to three friends who went camping in Ridgepine Forest, thinking it would be just another weekend adventure. But what they encountered is something no one should ever face. If you're alone, it might be a good idea to keep the lights on, because this story is about a friend who went into the forest and never came back. Make sure you stick around to the end, because this one doesn't just happen in the forest, it follows you home. I have two close friends, Jake and Ryan. And last fall we decided to camp in Ridgepine Forest for the weekend. The place is huge, mostly empty, and people online said it's quiet. The kind of quiet that's not comforting. We reached the trail before sunset, and right away something felt off. There were no other cars, no hikers, nothing. Jake joked that maybe we were early, but his voice didn't sound confident. As we hiked deeper in, the trees got thicker and the air got colder, even though it wasn't supposed to be that cold. At camp, Ryan kept saying he felt like someone was watching us. We told him he was overthinking it. That night, the forest was unnaturally silent. No animals, no wind, just dead stillness. Before we slept, Jake said he wanted to check out the ridge trail alone before sunrise. I told him it was a stupid idea, but he laughed it off. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to footsteps outside our tent. Slow, heavy, deliberate. When I unzipped the tent, Jake was gone, and his flashlight was lying in the dirt, still on. The second I saw Jake's flashlight on the ground, my stomach dropped. I called his name quietly at first, then louder, but the forest swallowed every sound like it didn't want to give anything back. Ryan came out of his tent half asleep, asking why I was yelling. When he saw the empty tent and the flashlight still on, his face drained of color. We grabbed our own lights and followed the trail Jake said he'd take. The woods looked different at night. Every tree looked like a person standing still. About 100 feet in, we found Jake's footprints. But they weren't the only ones. Next to his steps were larger prints. Heavy, deep, like someone bigger had been walking behind him. Ryan whispered, "Dude, Jake wasn't joking. Someone's out here." There were also broken branches leading off the trail, like Jake ran or was dragged. That's when we heard it. A single, sharp snap deeper in the woods, like someone stepped on a stick on purpose. And it wasn't Jake. The sound came from the opposite direction of his footprints. Ryan and I froze when we heard that stick snap. It sounded close. Way too close. I swung my flashlight toward the sound, but the light hit nothing but empty trees. The woods were so dark it felt like the beam couldn't cut through it. Ryan grabbed my arm and whispered, "Bro, someone's watching us." I didn't want to believe him, but the silence felt wrong, as if something had stopped moving the moment we did. We followed the broken branches Jake might have gone through, but the deeper we went, the colder the air got. It wasn't normal cold. It was like walking into a freezer. Then Ryan spotted something on a tree trunk. A long, deep scratch mark, like someone dragged a knife across it. Except no knife is that big. Next to it was a piece of fabric snagged on a branch, Jake's hoodie color. Ryan whispered, "Dude, he was here." We called Jake's name again, but this time, something answered. Not a voice, a low, drawn-out breath coming from behind the trees. It wasn't Jake. And whatever it was getting closer. The moment we heard that slow, heavy breathing, Ryan grabbed my jacket and whispered, "Don't move. Don't even breathe." We stood there, frozen, listening. The breath wasn't human. It was deeper, like something with a huge chest was dragging air in and out. I pointed my flashlight toward the sound, but the beam just lit up empty branches. The breathing stopped the second the light touched the trees, and that somehow made it worse. Ryan muttered, "Dude, it knows where we are." The forest suddenly felt too quiet, like whatever was out there was waiting for us to move. We backed up slowly, trying to retrace our steps toward camp. Every crunch of leaves under our feet sounded dangerously loud. I kept checking behind us, convinced I'd see someone following. Halfway back, we found something lying in the dirt. Jake's phone. The screen was cracked, but it was still recording, like he dropped it while running. When I hit play, the audio was just Jake shouting, breathing hard. And then that same low breathing behind him. Closer. The last 3 seconds of the recording were footsteps, fast, heavy, and Jake screaming. Hearing Jake scream on that recording snapped something inside both of us. Ryan grabbed my arm and said, "We need to get help, now." We started speed walking back toward camp, not running. Running felt like it would trigger whatever was out there. Every few seconds, I heard faint crunching somewhere behind us, like footsteps matching ours. Ryan kept saying it was just branches falling, but neither of us believed that. When we reached camp, our fire was completely out, even though we'd built it strong. Someone had kicked dirt over it. Our backpacks were moved too, not opened, just shifted a few inches, like someone had inspected them. Ryan said, "It was here, while we were gone." Before we could decide what to do, a sound echoed through the trees, Jake's voice. It was faint, shaky, calling out, "Guys, help!" Ryan took one step toward the sound, but I grabbed him. The voice was wrong, too slow, too stretched out, like someone trying to imitate Jake. The voice wasn't coming from Jake. It was coming from 2 completely different directions at the same time. Ryan and I froze, staring into the dark woods, our flashlights shaking in our hands. The 2 voices kept calling Jake's name, echoing from different directions at once. "We can't stay here," I whispered. "We gotta move." Every step we took, twigs snapped behind us, but when we turned, no one was there. The air grew heavier, like it was pressing against our chests. Then we saw it. A dark figure moving between the trees, bigger than a man, almost wrong. Its shadow stretched unnaturally, flickering in the dim light from our flashlights. Ryan wanted to run, but I grabbed him. Running felt like making a target. The figure didn't make noise at first, but the moment we hesitated, it started dragging something across the forest floor. I swear I saw a piece of Jake's hoodie caught on its arm. Ryan froze completely as it stopped, then slowly turned its head toward us. The thing didn't move like a human. It leaned and twisted like a nightmare in slow motion. And then, it spoke, in Jake's voice. "Why'd you leave me?" My stomach dropped when that voice, Jake's voice, spoke again. But it wasn't Jake. It sounded slower, hollow, like it was being dragged out by something huge. Ryan and I couldn't move, couldn't even blink fast enough. The shadowy figure stepped closer, and every step it took made the ground groan under its weight. "Jake?" Ryan called, his voice shaking. The figure cocked its head and whispered, "Why didn't you save me?" I knew Jake wasn't alive. The way it said his name made me feel it was mocking us. I grabbed Ryan, shouting, "Run!" and we bolted back toward the trail we came from. Behind us, leaves rustled and heavy branches snapped. Whatever it was keeping pace without making full contact with the ground. The air smelled like wet earth and something rotting. In the dark, I saw another light, Jake's flashlight, sitting upright on a fallen log, shining straight at us. When we got closer, there was no one holding it. And that's when we realized the figure had stopped moving, but the light was pointing directly at us. The flashlight on the log stayed upright, swinging slightly, as if it had a mind of its own. Ryan and I froze, too scared to move, hearts pounding like jackhammers. Then the shadowy figure stepped closer, tall and impossibly thin, face hidden in darkness. It didn't run, didn't make a sound, but the forest around us seemed to shrink, like the trees were leaning in. I whispered, "We can't stay here," but my voice sounded small, swallowed by the night. The figure raised its arm slowly, and I saw Jake's torn hoodie dangling from it. I tried to grab Ryan and pull him back toward the trail, but my legs felt glued to the dirt. That's when the flashlight flickered, and in the brief light, I saw the figure's eyes, or what I thought were eyes, shining white. The next instant, the light went out, and everything went silent, except for one thing: the slow, deliberate breathing right behind us. Whatever it was standing just inches from our backs. And then it whispered, so softly I almost didn't hear it, "You left me." Ryan screamed, and that finally broke whatever spell had glued me to the ground. We bolted down the trail, branches whipping our faces, roots trying to trip us with every step. Behind us, leaves and branches snapped violently, like the shadowy thing was right on our heels. I didn't look back, but I could feel it following. Silent, but massive, moving faster than any human could. Then we tripped over something. Jake's other shoe, lying in the dirt, caked with mud. Ryan almost screamed again when he saw it, but I yanked him up and we kept running. The trail curved, and in the moonlight, I saw the outline of our truck. Relief hit me like a wave, but it didn't last. The shadow wasn't chasing us anymore. It was waiting at the edge of the clearing, unmoving, watching. I grabbed the keys, threw open the door, and we jumped in. The second the engine started, headlights revealed the figure standing by the trees, Jake's hoodie flapping, white eyes glowing. We sped off, tires skidding, but I knew it wasn't just in the woods. It had followed us out. We didn't stop driving until the first signs of dawn, but the forest behind us felt alive, like it was watching every turn. Every time we looked in the rearview mirror, I thought I saw something crouched in the tree line, just for a second. When we finally got back to town, I told myself it was over. Ryan parked outside my house, and I swore I saw the shadow slip between the houses, silent as smoke. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak, every wind gust sounded like it was moving closer. My phone buzzed, Jake's number calling. I didn't answer. But then I noticed muddy footprints on my porch. Not small ones, big ones. Bigger than any human could make. I ran outside, flashlight in hand, but there was nothing, except for the torn piece of Jake's hoodie caught in the railing, and a note scratched into the wood. "You left me." We never saw Jake alive again, and whatever followed him out of the forest never stopped. So that was the story of Jake and Ridgepine Forest. A weekend trip that turned into a nightmare they could never escape. I don't know if the creature or whatever was following them is still out there, But it's stories like this that make you think twice before ignoring that feeling you're being watched. If you ever go into the woods alone, remember, it's not always just the dark you should fear. And if you liked this story, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I've got more true horror stories coming, and trust me, some of them are worse than this. Stay safe, and always watch your back.